When mass-producing holiday cards, it's nice to have some quick and easy options that still have that elegant appeal. Today on Stamp TV, I'm going to show you how to make a classy holiday card with some cardstock, paper and ink, and your Score Pal or Score Buddy. Let me show you the tools and products you need to do this card. First, you're going to need some stamps. And the stamps that I'm using are from the brand new Merry Little Christmas Stamp TV kit. And I've chosen the house image and the greeting that says, "There's no place like home for the holidays." Then I'm going to use some ink. And for this one, I'm going to use the Memento Cottage Ivy ink. I'm also going to use some cardstock. I have the Gina Designs layering weight. This is the 80-pound ivory cardstock. And I have some of the Christmas pine. These cardstock colors are also part of the new Merry Little Christmas Stamp TV kit. Then I have two more panels here. I have one more ivory panel, and then I have a Christmas pine card base. The only other tool that you're going to need other than some tape is your Score Pal or Score Buddy. And since I'm making a card instead of a scrapbook page or something bigger like a box, I'm going to use my Score Buddy because it's quick and easy to use. To begin, I'm going to take this small panel of ivory cardstock, and I'm going to stamp the house on the top part of the cardstock using some of the Cottage Ivy ink. Let's turn this over here. Okay. Stamp it right about there in the center. Okay. Then I'm going to stamp the greeting down below, leaving a little bit of a gap in between so I can do some fancy work with my Score Pal. So once I ink up this stamp, then I'm going to be able to read it a little bit better. And I'm going to ink that up and stamp it in the center toward the bottom. Just like that. Now, for my next step, I'm going to grab my Score Buddy and I'm going to do a little bit of fancy scoring. Now, what's nice about this is, with the Score Buddy, I'm going to start at the 1-inch mark. And then I'm going to look here and make sure that I can fit my two lines in between. I'm going to use the line with the dot and the line next to it. Now, if I want, I can move it down just a little bit and then I'll be able to do 3 lines. And I think I'm going to do that. So I'm actually slipping my piece of cardstock right in front of the notch before the 1-inch notch. But that's going to be determined by where you stamp your greeting versus your focal image. So give yourself a little bit of leeway there to move it based on where you stamped your images. Don't be so concerned that you have to stamp them perfectly and they have to line up with what I'm doing. Yours might start at 1 inch and be perfect. Yours might start at 1¼ inches and be perfect. But just find a spot where these 3 little lines can be scored right in between the greeting and the house. And then once you've determined where that is, turn the cardstock over and line it up again in that same exact spot. So that's what I've done here, and I'm going to score these 3 lines, 1, 2, and 3. So there I've created 3 score lines in between, and that kind of divides the two sections up a little bit. Now, my next step is I'm going to do 2 score lines on each side, and I'm going to butt it up against the left-hand side of the Score Buddy, and then I'm just going to use the first 2 score lines. So I'm going to kind of hold it here so I've got it in place, and I'm going to do 1 and then 2. You can see what that looks like. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. 1 and 2. Now I'm going to do the same on the top. 2 score lines. 1 and 2. And then on the bottom, I'm going to try doing 1 score line first and seeing if I have room to do a second one. You may or may not. If you don't, that's fine. If you do, great. I think I only have room for one there. That looks nice and even top to bottom. So that's a really neat way to frame out your focal image and your greeting, and it gives them two separate sections, kind of like you had two separate die cut pieces. Really frames them out nicely. Okay, so now I'm going to adhere this to a piece of the Christmas pine cardstock. That's just a little 1/8 inch border around the whole thing. There we go. Okay. And now I'm going to mount that onto this piece of ivory. And that's a nice big layering piece, but it just really frames it out so pretty. Put that into place. There we go. That's a little easier for me to look straight down on it. Okay. And then this whole panel is going to go on top of my Christmas pine card base. There we go. And that is a very clean and simple card. Let me grab something to place it on there. A very clean and simple card that's very, very elegant. And I want to show you how this looks in more neutral tones. Instead of the green, I made the same exact card using our dark chocolate and the Memento Rich Cocoa ink. And that just gives it a little bit more of a rustic look, but still very, very elegant. You could do something similar to this using gold cardstock and gold ink too. Now, although this project looks clean and elegant just as it is, you can step it up a notch by stamping the image in Versamark ink and embossing it with gold, silver, evergreen, or rich red embossing powder. Or if you love to color, color the house with Copic markers, colored pencils, or watercolor paint and create a small masterpiece for your holiday recipients.